Romance and sports are two things that you never would expect to go together. I mean, thinking about it, the only one that I can possibly think of is Slam Dunk. You see Sakuragi go into basketball for Haruko to only end up falling in love with basketball and pursue only basketball. It's extremely rare to find an anime that blends not only romance, but sports in such a way that is seamlessly perfect. Then, out of the blue, for this fall season, Blue Blocks comes out of nowhere. Blue Box is an extremely underrated anime that has high school characters act more mature than most adults in our day-to-day life, in such a way that it feels like these characters are real. Each character bounces off one of each other in such a significant way that it makes even the smaller moments matter. There's never a dull moment in the series, especially when it comes to its sports and romance talks. Taiyaki is a first year in high school who is quite average when it comes to badminton. After joining the high school team, he aims to get better at the sport. He shows up to the gymnasium as early as he can possibly be, but he always ends up second to the popular senior named Kano, who is popular not only because of her looks, but also because of her athletic ability. She's also an MVP of the school basketball team. She even had a feature in a popular magazine. With her being so popular, Taiyaki develops a crush on her. But since he thinks she is way out of his league, I mean, she kind of is, the only chance he thinks he has with her is by making it to badminton nationals. So he sets his eyes to getting into nationals to be able to ask her out. Until one day he overhears that Kono is transferring overseas. Overwhelmed by this, he decides to tell her the next morning that no matter where she is, to make it to basketball nationals, even if she's abroad. She explains that she's actually not going abroad. She's staying with her mom's friend. Her family will be going abroad, but she'll be staying back to pursue basketball. And truth be told, Taiyaki kind of feels like he jumped the gun. I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, I probably would have jumped the gun too if I was in this position, because truth be told, I mean, you hear any one of your family or your friends or girlfriends or boyfriends transferring, and that's the first thing you probably think of. But what he doesn't realize is that the family friend that she's staying with is actually his mother. And so Taiyaki now has to figure out a way to not only navigate badminton, but also navigate a way to his crush's heart. In this absolutely amazing story that we like to call Blue Box. Truth be told, Blue Blocks is one of the most refreshing romantic animes that I have seen in a very long time. And I'm so glad it just came out of the blue. I mean, we don't really get to see that many romantic animes that can blend in not only sports, but also a realistic, logical romance in such a way. We are able to peer into Taiyaki's mind, knowing what his thoughts are, knowing his insecurities, and what he wants to say to Kono. I mean, I think the highlight of the show has really been anytime Kono and Taiyaki are interacting with each other, we see that Taiyaki starts freaking out. He loses his mind. Oh my gosh, what do I have to say to her? What can I say? How do I not look like a creep? But with that, we get to see what Taiyaki does. Even in his most embarrassing moments, he still tries favoring Kono in more ways than one, especially when he starts playing sports and his motivation and his discipline comes a lot from her. With Taiyaki seeing the way that Kono goes as hard as she does for her love for basketball, it encourages him to try and make it even to nationals, which that in itself is amazing. To see that even Kono starts realizing that even he starts changing, and what I think is really cool that Taiyaki is doing, I mean, I don't know, I'm not a manga reader, but he's starting to make even Kono change her mindset when it comes to sports. To see their friendship, their common interest be over sports has been really cool. Not many animes can make another character care for sports the way that these two do, and especially since they're in different sports. I mean, basketball and badminton, there's not that much in common, and for them to understand one another and the way that they love for their sport is amazing. I love the way that Taiyaki gets so serious or amped up playing badminton. To see the way how focused and how determined he is even catches Kono off guard in some episodes, seeing where Kono is just stuck in awe just looking at him, to see how hard he trains night after night, day after day, seeing him push himself in order to ask her out is so cool. It's amazing. I mean, even with Kono, I mean, she's shown no romantic interest in him at all. Well, yet. But with them living together, it adds another thing in there. How can Taiyaki manage himself around Kono? How can he not slip up and make her think that he's a weirdo? And seeing that Kono's relationship with Taiki build upon each other each episode. It's not like where you can go maybe 1 or 2 episodes without them and then they're like doing absolutely nothing. It's like even when we're not seeing them on screen, they're building relationships together, whether from sports or hanging out with each other and getting to know each other for who they are as people. And I love the way that it's articulated. It makes the relationship feel organic. I appreciate that. I'm grateful that we get to have characters, even if they're in high school, show such maturity, show that they're able to talk out their feelings and talk to each other like regular human beings instead of like, Sensei-kun, I love you, Oni-chan. I mean, there's only so many times you can hear that and feel and even want to just watch that. I'm grateful for Blue Box. Blue Box is showing me that romantic animes can be great again. I really hope that Blue Box gets the recognition it needs. I love the way that they incorporate sports, especially into their relationship. Seeing how Taiyaki is trying desperately to practice every day, learning new things to be able to get to the level that he thinks that Kono's at. The level of being an MVP or being at the level of an Olympic athlete. He pushes himself daily to make sure that he's able to get to his goals. And it's such an inspiring and refreshing thing to see, especially for a romance anime. But manga readers, if there is anything crazy happening, hopefully maybe Ko can get someone. I mean, Hana is an amazing side character in my personal opinion. We never really get to hear about rhythmic gymnastics as we once did. I think it's really cool that even the side characters have sports that they're into. They're not just students, they're also athletes, and it adds another layer of enjoyment. Because there's only certain things that they will be able to understand because they're athletes, and not many other people will get their drive, their execution. It boils down to being such an amazing series. Now, I know there's going to be 25 episodes, and each episode's pacing has been really good. The opening, oh my gosh, I love the opening. It's so good. It's like this more like fluid animation. Oh, and I haven't even talked about that. The way that the characters move when they're playing the sports is so fluid. It's so like they're human. They look real. They don't look like CG monsters or anything like that, but I love the way that they look. You can feel the impact when they're swinging the badmintons, or you can feel the impact when they're shooting the hoops. You can feel the intensity when Hano is doing her rhythmic gymnastics. You can feel that intensity, showing that they're giving it their all, their blood, sweat, and tears. Now, I could be overanalyzing and I'm probably making it deeper than it is, but seeing the way that the animation for this series kind of allows the show to develop itself and not only like shows the weight of being an athlete is something that I really appreciate. A lot of shows nowadays kind of struggle with showing not just a romantic side, but also the other side. It really shows that Kono and Taiyaki are their own people. While Taiyaki does like her, he's his own person. He has his own goals. He's striving to be the best he possibly can be. And Kono wanting to strive to be a national champion when it comes to basketball. I love it. Oh my gosh, I could talk about it all day. I can't wait to see more Blue Box, the sports anime that works perfectly.